Welcome to 304 Customs Garage. In this episode, we're going to be painting this S10 firewall with spray cans that are catalyzed. And we're not going to be using a spray gun or an air compressor, mixing up paint or anything like that besides shaking the cans up. The goal for this is to hopefully achieve a professional quality result. This isn't going to be a show truck, but I think it'll look pretty nice when it's done. I'll show you the steps, what we're going to use, and then we'll hopefully get a nice result that I can show you at the end. So, before waiting any longer, let's go ahead and get painting. So like I said in this video earlier, we're going to be using these components here on this little stool for our professional quality and durability, hopefully, painting of this S10 firewall today. First, we're going to start off with this pre-painting prep. This stuff works really good. I've used it a bunch on some other things as well. Then after that, we'll jump to a tack cloth that I just picked up at a local auto parts store. We'll use this. Of course, I will be wearing gloves for this. We'll jump to this epoxy primer, which is 2-component catalyzed. The little bladder inside that contains the activator and hardens it is inside. After the coats of that, we'll jump to this Eastwood 2K chassis black, which we also sprayed on the front of the frame, if you recall, and maybe you watched the last video. It turned out fantastic. I think it'll look great on this. And it has the ceramic in it as well. It's being like a urethane base, I believe it is. So it should turn out really nice on here. Then I'll use this 2K Aerospray Clear. I've not used this one yet, but I figured since there's going to be heat from the motor coming off of it, being back there, we'll go ahead and spray on top of the 2K chassis black. It is a gloss black finish. That's also gloss, so it should look really nice and shiny. The color of the truck, my reasoning for painting the firewall, and I'm going to paint the inner fenders on this truck when I put them back together, is because of the color choice that I'm thinking about painting this truck. I think the black will look really nice and make the orange motor and chrome and aluminum look under the hood really stand out when you pop the hood at a show or just a local car meet or somebody wants to check it out. So we'll jump back over here. Original paint on this firewall, it has never been resprayed in the 28 or 29 years that this truck is. It was actually really good shape. I didn't have any peeling anywhere that I saw. I went ahead and scuffed it after I cleaned it once with the pre-painting prep. Still have some more. This little dirt stuff here is like some kind of goo they had around there. So I'll try to get that off there before we start painting. But after I clean it again, I've already scuffed it with a maroon scuff pad. As you see, I got some plastic down, aluminum, taped everything off. Some free masking newspapers from a local store. Thank you to the store owner for the free masking paper. And I just went over it with a maroon scuff pad a couple times. Dusted it off, wiped it off. I'm going to go over it again, make sure there's no shiny spots. I think the epoxy primer will stick great to this since it is the original paint. And like I said, it's not chipping, fading, other than right there around the trans area. For being as old as it is, I think it'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and get this cleaned up, and then we'll start spraying some epoxy. Okay, we just finished the first coat of epoxy primer. We'll let this dry for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and hit it with the second coat. The first can only lasted enough to do the one time. It was almost empty, so I tossed it. We'll open a new can for the second coat. Then we'll be back with you when we get some color. We're going to step outside for a minute and let this dry. So we're going to go ahead and spray the second coat on. I already tested my piece up here on the windshield behind me. It is dry to the touch. It's only been about 15 minutes, like I said. So we'll go ahead and spray the second coat on here. And then we're going to wait 45 minutes before we spray some color on it. So we'll get this sprayed, and then we'll be back to you with some color. First and second coats are done. It's been about 2.5 hours before we're going to put the second coat on. Had to run over to the house to get a couple things and got caught up in something there. So I was only going to wait 45 minutes, but 2.5 hours is still good. According to Eastwood, you don't have to sand this. So we're gonna go ahead and apply the color, and we'll be back to you and take a look at that after we get the first coat on. Just sprayed the first coat of color. Looks good so far. We'll step outside for about 10 minutes, let that tack up. Back, spray the second coat. And we'll show you what it looks like after 45 minutes before we put the clear on. Stay tuned. So we're sitting at about 46, 47 minutes after I applied the second coat of color, 2.5 coat of color. I did a little bit of a half coat, I guess, in between. You didn't see that off camera. But so far, I think it's turned out pretty great. I'm not a paint expert, but I don't think you could tell the difference that this was painted with cans versus an air compressor and a spray gun in a booth or something. So far, I did find a couple little hairs and stuff down here, but who's going to see that? I'm really impressed with the way it's turned out so far. Next up, we're going to be putting the 2K gloss clear on this. I'm planning to put 2 coats on this. First coat, I'm going to go a little lighter. Try to stay a little further away. Hopefully it won't build up on there too much and go on pretty smooth. I've never used this gloss clear before, so I'm interested to see what it'll look like when it's done. In the meantime, I'm going to go shake this can, get this ready. I'll spray it and then let it tack up. Come back and hit it again after that, and I'll show you the finished result after we spray it with the second coat of clear. And then you can make your own decision on what you think it looks like. Just finished up the second coat of clear. It's still wet. It turned out fantastic so far. We'll see what it looks like in a couple days. As you can see, there's my reflection. It's a gloss black with gloss clear coat. Super shiny. I think it'll look really nice with that small block Chevy sitting over here. We put that in here. And honestly, I don't think you can tell that this was painted with spray cans versus an air compressor, an HVLP gun, or something similar. Quite impressed with Eastwood's product. They did not pay me to say that. But I believe, like I said, I've used a couple of those before. The clear actually turned out well too. It's still kind of foggy in here. Try not to stay in here too long. My mask down. I'm rebreathing all that stuff in, but I'm really impressed with it. The only thing that I could say is if you get a little too close, you can't see it there, but there is a run in there. But I like it. I think it'll look fantastic, as I said. Steps that we got here. We cleaned Eastwood pre-painting prep. And then we scuffed it with a maroon scuff pad. Twice, actually. Cleaned it again with pre-painting prep. And then I tack ragged it. After that, Eastwood 2K epoxy primer. We did not a full coverage coat on the first one. Waited about 10 or 15 minutes. Second coat, heavy, wet. And then it was only going to wait 45 minutes. It ended up being like almost 2.5 hours, I think it was. Can't remember now or from earlier in the video. Anyway, it was like 2.5 hours maybe. And then we came up and sprayed the color. According to Eastwood, you only have to wait like 45 minutes to top coat that epoxy primer. And then we did 10 minutes between the coats of color. And then I did 46, 47, maybe 50 minutes between color and clear coat. Clear coat, first coat, I went light, just barely. It looked dry almost. It didn't have that wet look to it that it does now. Waited 10 to 15 minutes roughly, just enough to get the can shaken up in between there. And then I went with like a medium wet coat on that second one. Touched up some spots also on the frame. And I think it turned out fantastic. Let me know what you guys think. So we can get that motor in here soon now, get a couple other things buttoned up. But hopefully in the next video we'll start working on that. I gotta do some more painting underneath. Going to touch up a couple more spots before I get that in there and can't reach it. But they will be in there soon, and then we're that much closer to driving it. I'm excited. And I hope to share that with you all when I get there. But in the meantime, if you don't mind, check out one of these other videos to show you how we're getting there. Hit that subscribe button in the middle. Like, comment. Hit that bell for notifications if you want to follow us. See this truck get on the road. We're getting closer. I have almost everything I need now, except for a few little odds and ends and the interior. But in the meantime, I hope you all have a good night. I will see you next time. And as always, I thank you for watching. See ya.